Today we are taking a road trip. We are going to Mount Hood to go stargazing. It's a perfect time of the month. This is like one of the few days where it's actually going to be good for stars, and it's also right towards the end of when you're going to be able to see the comet going by. So we're going to get stars. 5 planets are going to be visible tomorrow morning, and then also we're going to see a comet. So we're taking a road trip, and while we're doing this, we just picked up the Sony ZV-1. So this vlog is going to be part experience taking star pictures, part review on the Sony ZV-1. So we're going to see how this goes and hopefully get some good pictures. For this trip we are taking the gas car. We are not taking the Tesla only because we don't want it to get scratched up and dirty. Range is not an issue, it totally could make it. We just don't want to take it on this type of road trip is all. Remember the car key?
Of course not, I never do.
Yeah, we need this. Forgot. You can't just use your phone on this one. That's really nice, but no, we need this sometimes. So we have made it to government camp. We're not too far away. We're going to Timberline Lodge, so we're actually going up the mountain. Didn't take that long to get here, but it was a windy road. So we're going to look around the town a little bit and then take a break, and then I guess we'll continue on the mountain. So this is essentially a version of the RX100 that's made specifically for video, and one of those things that's different is the lens. You get less of zoom capability, and that is definitely noticeable in this camera, but you do get better aperture for more low light performance. The zoom is okay. I would like more zoom, and I would definitely like it to be wider, especially for vlogging like this, which is what the camera's meant for. But I have to say it's a pretty decent all-in-one lens. It covers a fairly good focal length. I would like to be longer, and I also would like to be wider, but I think for the most part it's pretty good. So we're in extremely bright conditions. We're 2,000 feet closer to the sun than we were when we started. So part of that is going to make it harder for this camera, especially with a fixed lens like this, to expose properly. But what's really cool is that the ZV-1 has built-in ND. So think of it as sunglasses for your camera. It has built-in neutral density, so it's going to help to keep the aperture as open as possible when you're in very bright conditions, making this a really good all-in-one package for video. You don't have to worry about it being too bright. It's got ND, and it will take care of that for you. So the key to finding a Clover is you have to find one with these lines on them, and you can see they make a triangle, but ones that have 4 leaves are actually going to make a square, so it's just pattern matching. You just look for a square rather than a triangle, and that's it.
Perfect, because you can see all the other shapes around it. So here, all the triangles, and then there's your square.
You can pull it.
Hold up for you.
I found an ultra rare one. This one's got 5 leaves on it. Of the ZV-1 over the RX100 is the microphone system. There is a bigger dedicated microphone on the top of the camera right next to the hot shoe. They even give you a dead cat in the box to put on top of the microphone to help reduce wind noise. I don't have it on right now. It's a little bit windy, but it's definitely going to make a huge difference when you do add that accessory. It's included in the box, so they definitely know that this is going to be used for video. So we've hiked up the mountain a little bit, and right now we're trying to find somewhere to do our star photography. We need to get a certain height, and we need something that's good in the foreground. So it's a little high up, but I think we found an okay place. So now we're going to go back down and I guess try and find somewhere else, maybe a little bit closer down. So we're going to have to walk up so high with all of this camera equipment. But look at this view. It's pretty nice up here. Got the mountain, and then just right over there is some snow. So several hours and 7 miles later, I think we found a pretty good spot. We're in the room now, and it's time to charge the camera. Now the battery life on here isn't amazing. We got maybe an hour and a half or so, and that was when it was down to 1 bar of battery. I'd say we only got maybe 15 minutes worth of video, a mix of 4K and high frame rate 1080p video with minimal standby time. So battery life is not amazing on here. The good news is that it uses the same battery as the RX 100, so if you already have one of those, you can use that in this camera. Recharging can be done through micro USB. It's not the fastest thing. Using a normal wall adapter takes at least a couple of hours to recharge the camera. The good news is that you can get these batteries fairly cheap. You can get a 2-pack of batteries, not official but decent quality, for under $20. So it's not expensive to get batteries. And I think that's the best way to go. If you're going to be vlogging for a long time with this camera, you're definitely going to want to consider getting multiple batteries because it takes a while to recharge and it doesn't last very long. Let's talk about recording options. We have a mix of different resolutions and frame rates. This camera can do 4K at 30 frames per second. That's as high as it can go. But we can also do 1080p at fairly high frame rates as well. You can do 120 frames per second 1080p. There's also burst mode, which will allow you to rebuffer a couple of seconds in memory of very high frame rate. You can go up to 960 frames per second in 1080p. But again, this is a burst mode, so you can only do slow motion for a very short period of time. And it's not incredibly useful, especially because the quality is pretty bad. But 120 frames per second, 1080p, pretty good, and I think it looks really nice. One good thing about the camera is that Sony includes a dead cat windscreen in the box to help eliminate wind noise. The bad news, I forgot to bring it with me, so this entire clip was completely ruined by the evening wind. But here is a general idea of what I was saying. It's about 9:30 at night right now. It's very dark, and it's actually much darker in real life than the clip is making it seem to be. F1.8 is very fast on this camera, and it gives you a lot of brightness in low light, so it works really good. ISO was cranked fairly high by the automatic settings, but I don't think it has a ton of noise, so this is a fairly good low light camera. But anyway, we hiked 20 minutes up the mountain. We're just waiting for it to get completely dark so we can go ahead and take our star pictures, which should be maybe about another hour or so. Wow, those were some really good pictures. I'm impressed. Almost all those pictures were shot with a different Sony, but the last 2 pictures you just saw were actually shot on this camera, and I have to say, it does a pretty good job of pictures as well. While it's very oriented towards video, it takes some good pictures, so it's a really great all-in-one camera. But we are now back, and I want to talk a little bit about the camera, give you my thoughts, and if I would recommend this. So there are a couple of quirks that I found when using this camera. One thing is it has a touchscreen, which is very cool. You can touch to focus, you can pick a section for it to track focus on, which is pretty nice, but that's all the touchscreen does. You cannot do a single other thing on the touchscreen other than tap to focus. You can't select menus, you can't choose options, you cannot control playback, you cannot do anything on the touchscreen except tap to focus. Doesn't really make sense if there is a touchscreen on there. Also, this is a compact camera, and being compact, there's a lot less buttons and dials to this. This means that you have to go several menus deep if you want to enable and disable things. For example, there is only one wheel on this camera, which is by default set to shutter speed. If you want to change your aperture, you press down on the wheel and then you can change your aperture and you press down again to toggle back to your shutter speed. But there are several things that are very cool about this camera. Ergonomics are not great when you're holding it like a normal camera, but it's very comfortable when you're holding it in vlog mode. If you hold it with the camera facing you, it's actually a really great grip on that. So it's definitely meant for video in this case. We got something that I think is super awesome, and it's called Product Showcase Mode. So you know how you're talking in front of the camera and maybe I want to show you something and I'm talking about this monitor here, I hold it up to you. Oh, but it's still focused on me and not the product. Well, if we go ahead and change one setting by a dedicated button, yes, we got a dedicated button for it, we got this. I am now in front of the camera, and if I bring something up to show you, it focuses on that. Go back down, it goes on me, it goes here. That's really awesome. It's incredibly fast and super responsive. That is amazing. I'm actually going to be replacing my bigger camera that we have on the overhead rig, which we made in a video, you can check that out over there. I'm going to be replacing my bigger camera with this one, and a lot of overhead shots are showing off products. So having a very responsive focus like that, specifically for showing off products and the different angles of it that normal autofocus has a tough time doing, is very handy and makes my job a lot easier. So this autofocus is going to be really good anytime you want to show off a product, which is awesome. Overall, I'm a really big fan of the Sony ZV-1. This is their first camera dedicated for video, and it's the only one that's really out on the market. Panasonic may be coming out with something similar soon, but this is really the only option we have right now. It retails for $7.99. I got mine $50 off, and you can probably find it on sale for that same price right now anyway. I think for $750, this is a really great camera. For its size, I think the video quality is really good, and nothing else really rivals this size and quality. Audio quality, it's really good. I'm impressed. It turned out to be much better than I thought it would be. This entire video was shot using the internal microphone on the ZV-1, no other audio or microphone source at all. Anyway, that is all. That is what I think of the ZV-1. It's a really great camera for the size and price, and I definitely recommend it. So links will be down in the description below if you want to pick it up or learn more. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. If you like this video, leave a like and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. This is Mark, and I will see you in the next one.